Hello fellow gamers, welcome back for another tier list video. Today I'm going to be a huge nerd and go over every single Fallout 4 perk in the game. Um, yeah, I'm just going to go over the tiers real quick and, explain a little bit. Hold on, I don't know why there's brackets on this. Okay, sorry, I just had to fix that. Anyways, so yeah, first we got, start from the bottom, we got useless slash heavily outclassed. It basically means, the perks are, you should never use these perks ever, since there are a lot better options, better alternatives for that perk, such as, a different perk or I don't know, armor or something. Anything you can find within the game. Niche slash weak, that means it is only used in very specific builds. It's also very weak compared to most other top tier perks. Average, it basically means average, middle of the line. You know, good perk, good perks, but not top tier, not bottom tier either. Strong slash versatile means it is a very strong perk, very good perk, and can be used across many different builds. And finally, overtuned slash exploitable. That means the perk is very game breaking, game changing, can make the game very easy if you take advantage of that perk. Which there are a few perks I will go over. Um, yeah, that's it for the tiers. So I am going to be basing these off how useful they are in the base game. I won't be taking survival mode into consideration since the meta can change drastically when it comes to survival mode. I will mention it a few times for some of the perks, but it won't change my opinion on that perk, so just thought I should mention that. And I have the perk chart right here, just in case I need to go back and just have a quick peek at what each perk does. Since I am not very familiar with every single perk in the game, I only take a few of them. I don't take every single perk, since a lot of them are just useless, or if I'm just going for a specific build. But anyways, we're gonna get started with the strength perks. Um, the higher the strength, the more damage you do with your melee weapons, and the more you can carry. Very self-explanatory. Very, very good. First we got Iron Fist. So this basically increases your damage for your unarmed weapons. So like your fists, your power fist, deathclaw gauntlets, meat hooks, knuckles, all that stuff. So the first two ranks, or no, the first rank you just get increased damage. The second rank you get a chance to disarm. Third and fourth you get a chance to cripple your opponents, and then the final rank you can paralyze your enemies with the critical attack and VATS. Very very good perks. Um, a bit of a spoiler. I am gonna put every most of the weapon related perks in the versatile tier just because they're very important when it comes to character builds. They're usually going to be what defines your character and whatnot. So there will be one perk where it won't be in that same tier. So I will discuss that in a little bit. Um, so next we got big leagues. This is basically the same thing as Iron Fist, except it is a rank higher, or yeah, a extra rank in strength higher than Iron Fist. Basically, it increases damage for melee weapons. Not unarmed weapons, but melee weapons. So that's basically baseball bats, walking canes, rolling pins, sledgehammers, super sledges, knives, machetes, all that stuff. A lot of melee weapons that I can think of. But yeah, you get. Let's see, what do you get for big league? So increased damage, chance to disarm your opponent, increased chance, can hit every enemy in front of you. So it basically does area damage. What that means, and then you can let's see, chance to cripple your opponent or grand slam their head clean off. That is pretty cool. You can basically instantly kill an enemy if you get the last perk or the last tier. So honestly, these two can be interchanged. Objectively speaking, I will put the big leagues a little bit higher than Iron Fist, just because there are a lot more options you have for your for for big leagues. You can also find a couple unique legendary weapons right off the bat. So like Pikmin's Blade, Prem's Tooth, you can get those fairly early if you so choose to. Whereas big leagues or not, Iron Fist, there aren't many unique legendary weapons that I can think of, and there also aren't that many unarmed weapons out in the world. So objectively speaking, big leagues is going to be better, but I do find unarmed builds to be very fun, a fun playstyle for me at least. So next we got armor. Armor is, I'm just gonna put it up here. I'm gonna put it higher than big leagues just because it is a must-have perk. Basically, you unlock new mods for your armor. So like basically for ballistic weave, you need the highest amount. You need the highest rank in armor just to get the most resistance, most ballistic and energy resistance, and you also need this for your power armor mods, for your armor piece mods. Very very useful perk for every single build, every single playthrough. I always get this perk no matter what. Definitely the superior choice for armor. And next we got, I think this is blacksmith. This is basically your weapon mod perk. So again, I'm gonna put this up here. I'm gonna put it higher. It's not as useful as armor, since armor can be used for any build. But this one is mainly used for melee weapons. I believe you can also use this for power armor mods. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure you can also use it for power armor mods. So it's a bit useful in that department, but yeah, really nothing else to say. There are a couple perks that are similar to that, which we will go over later. Next, we got big guns. This is basically another weapon perk, but for heavy weapons. I'm not a big fan of heavy weapons, but it is an option that you have in case you want to use rocket launchers, miniguns, fat mans, all that good stuff. I believe you can also use it's another heavy weapon. I think it's called the freaking harpoon launcher. I think that's also a heavy weapon. I could be wrong, but you can also use that if you want to. Let's look at what the tiers do. So heavy guns do 20% more damage, improved hipfire accuracy increased even more, chance to stagger your opponent, and double damage. So this is mainly for your minigun. It's really gonna help your minigun a lot. So pretty good if you're using rocket launchers and miniguns. So next we got strong back. I sometimes take this perk. I sometimes don't. For the playthrough I'm doing, I'm not taking this perk just because I don't feel like I need it. I don't know. I'm gonna put it at niche, just because you really only need the first two ranks. You don't have to get the last three. The last three ranks could be helpful, but I do like having extra carrying weight. But sometimes you don't really need the extra carrying weight. If you're using multiple weapons, sure, you can take this perk. But if you're using maybe very light weapons like pistols, for example, you really don't need this perk. But I do sometimes take it, so I guess I could put it at niche. But yeah, I guess I'll go over what each rank does. So 25 carrying weight, 50 carrying weight. When over encumbered, you can use action points to run. It's not bad. Not a bad tier. You can fast shovel. This is pretty good if you're, if you don't have any buff out or any way to increase your strength. You can, like, I guess you can take this perk, or you can take this rank in that perk if you want. And then the last one, running costs 50% less action points. So really, I don't know. I guess if you're not paying attention to your carrying weight, you could take this perk. But if you have stuff like buff out, or if you have beverages or food that increases your carrying weight, you really shouldn't have a problem with being over encumbered. And also, if you know what you're taking, you can just, you'll have a easier time managing your inventory. But yeah, next we got, oh boy. So here's where the useless perks start to begin. So we got, I think this is steady aim, or I don't know. I have no idea what this is called. Is it called steady aim? Yeah, steady aim. Okay. Actually, let's look at what each rank does. So hip fire accuracy is improved even more, and then hip fire damage is improved. So hip fire damage, that may sound cool and all. However, for the weapons that you're most likely going to hip fire, it's going to be like your assault rifles and your miniguns. They can already do that. So like heavy gun, if we just talked about it, it can increase your hip fire. And then I believe commando also does that. I don't know where. I think it's up here. Yeah, this also increases your hip fire accuracy. So you really don't need this perk at all. You don't need steady aim. And I'm pretty sure the damage increase is negligible. I mean, you already get increased damage into your other weapon-based perks, so I'm gonna have to put it in useless. You really don't need this perk at all. Um, Same with Basher. Like, again, like, this is only for very specific weapons that have like a low reload speed, or if you just have like one bullet left. I don't know. I just can't see myself having to bash your gun all the time. It's just not very helpful. Like, just, I don't know, just hide, take cover, reload. Like, I think even punching is a better option, but I don't know. I'm not too sure. I just never take this perk. It's useless. I don't even want to go over what each tier does. Um. Anyways, next we got Rooted. So this is pretty much a must-have perk for your melee weapons. I'm gonna put it up here. Actually, let me move these around. Which one do I think it's more useless? I think bashing is even more useless than that. Probably the worst perk in the game. I don't know, but sorry. Anyways, Rooted. Let's take a look what Rooted does. So it is all the way down in 9 strength. So yeah, you're really gonna need to invest in strength, which you should anyways if you're a melee user. But anyways, let's see what this does. So you get 25 damage resistance for your melee and unarmed attacks. You can also deal more damage, 25% more damage. That is huge. That is a lot of damage, literally. Next, we got basically the same thing, more damage resistance, more damage, and then finally you can automatically disarm enemies that use melee weapons against you. So this only applies to melee weapons, but you can stack this along with your other weapon-based perk, your other melee weapon-based perks, which can also disarm your opponents, but this is for any weapon. This one mainly applies to enemies using melee weapons, so very strong perk. And I believe if you use it in VATS, it also counts as using it while standing still. So just a bit of a fun fact. And now for the last strength perk. This is for a top tier perk. I don't think this is a very good perk. It's just not very useful. I don't see myself having to bash into enemies when I don't know. You're just better off firing at a distance, or you're just better off having to smack him in the face with your melee weapon, because this is meant to be like a high tier perk for strength. So ideally, you're gonna have a lot of melee damage. So I don't know. I guess it's kind of nice to have a little bit of a burst option. Let's look at what it does. So sprinting into enemies hurts and staggers them. Some enemies are immune to the stagger. And then we got causes severe damage, more powerful stagger, and massive damage knocks down. Impact landing near enemies inflicts even more damage. So I mean, it sounds like a fun perk. I'm sure it's like a nice late game perk you can take to just like mess around with low level raiders, but ideally you don't want to run into enemies. You can just like, if you're a weapon, if you're using like a gun or something, you should keep your distance. You're always going to want to keep your distance. So I don't know. I just don't like this perk. And even if you do decide to use melee weapons with power armor, you're better off using blitz and just like using VATS at a distance and then doing the increased damage. You're likely going to one shot them anyways, so you really don't need the extra stagger ability. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe people like this perk, but I don't like this perk. And also because I don't use power armor, so if you don't use power armor, it's a completely useless perk. So yeah, at least for me. So now we are done with the strength perks. Now we're gonna go over the perception perks, which higher the perception, the more accurate you are in VATS. Very simple. Um, yeah, let's go over them. So first we got pickpocket. Um, very self-explanatory. You have a higher chance of stealing items from your enemies, or from vendors, or really from anyone. Um, I think each perk or each rank does something different. Let's take a look. So 25% easier. You can place a grenade. Set up their inventory. That's pretty cool. You can steal equipped weapons, and you can steal equipped items. So that's like their armor, their clothing, and whatnot. So kind of a fun perk. I don't take this perk at all because I don't think I need it. But if you're doing like a thief build, you can definitely take this perk and just you know take all this stuff and then sell it at vendors. So that's a pretty good way to make money in this game. It's just by stealing their items. You can also easily get weapons from them and ammo. So very good perk if you're a thief, but sometimes you don't need it. You can just easily shoot them down if you want, or just simply buy whatever you need with caps if you have the caps, obviously. Um, and there are also other options to make money, which again I'll discuss that later. So now we got Rifleman. So this is the one perk that I said was not going to be in this tier, because this one's going all the way at the top, just because the thing with Rifleman is that there are a lot of good rifles you can find out in the world, like combat rifles. You can even use shotguns, in case you didn't know. So in my opinion, the two best weapons you can get out in the world are the Overseer's Guardian, which you can buy with I don't know how many, like 3,000 caps, and then the Terrible Shotgun, which you can easily just get it by going into a raider settlement and just entering a building and then picking it up from the top of the crate. So yeah, those two are in my opinion the best weapons in the game, at least in the base game. There are probably better weapons in the DLC. There are even other good rifle weapon or good rifles that you can use, that you can get very easily, like the Overseer's, not the Overseer, what is it called? The Righteous Authority. That's another very good rifle to use that can You know, it just makes this perk superior from all the other weapon perks. But let's go over what it does, what each rank does. So, non-automatic rifles increases the damage, obviously. Ignores 15% armor, so that's important. Ignores even more armor, ignores even more armor, and also gives them a chance, or gives it a chance of crippling a limb. Pretty good. And finally, more armor, more damage, more more of a chance of crippling a limb. So this can be very good if you're using like a shotgun. You can just kind of shoot them, and then the spread of the bullets should cripple them easier. Theoretically, that is. Next we got awareness, and it's a very simple perk. It's nothing too special. All it does is that it gives you the ability to see their weaknesses. So I take this perk sometimes just because I do like being able to know what the weaknesses are. So if I see that they're weak to energy, I will quickly switch to a laser rifle, or if they're weak to ballistic, I will switch to my rifle or my pistol or whatever I'm using as a ballistic weapon. And then in the second rank, it increases your accuracy of your VATS and your damage by 5%. So, fairly minor increases, but it's they can help. It can help a little bit. Next, we got locksmith or lockpick. I think it's called. What is it called? Locksmith. Yeah, locksmith. Okay. So very self-explanatory. It gives you the ability to open master locks, expert locks, advanced locks, and the last rank you can have infinite bobby pins. So I wouldn't recommend going for the last perk just because bobby pins are very easy to find out in the world. But it's a fairly average perk. You can get access to a lot of safes, a lot of different chests, a lot of doors without the use of looking for a key or having to bring an NPC along just for them to open the door for you. So, yeah, pretty good perk. Next, we got Demolition Expert, and this is going to be another weapon perk. So, I'm going to put it at strong, viable. I'm going to put this a little bit higher than the other ones just because instead of needing 5 ranks, so like any other weapon perk needs 5 ranks, right, to fully max it out. This one only requires 4, which I think gets a little bit of an edge compared to the other weapon perks. So let's take a look what it does. So you can do 25% more damage. You can craft explosives. So I think being able to craft explosives is very useful. So you can just like craft grenades and just spam them, or Molotovs, or other unique grenades. So very good. Gains a throwing arc. So this basically makes you pretty much very accurate with your grenades. You can just aim it, and it'll give you like a little marker as to where it'll land. More damage, larger area. This is good if you're fighting groups of enemies. And then finally, mines and grenades shot and vats explode for double damage too. So essentially, I think you can quadruple your damage since it already does double damage just by default if you get the last rank. But being able to shoot them while in vats, that'll basically quadruple your damage. So this might be like the strongest perk in the game. Honestly, like this can turn any weapon into a freaking nuke. Basically, this even applies to any weapons that you have that have a explosive modifier or explosive legendary effect. So, for example, the spray and pray that comes in with the explosive mod. So you can stack that along with Commando and the Demolition Expert, and you can pretty much shred through enemies with it. Pretty good perk. Um, it's too bad I don't really use grenades often, but But when you do get this perk, you'll be picking up every single grenade you find on the ground or on raiders or inside boxes. All right, so next we got Night Person. I'm not a big fan of this perk. I'm just gonna put it at weak just because what it does is that it increases your perception and your intelligence at nighttime between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. So that might not seem too bad. 12 hours of gameplay, or not 12, like 12 in-game hours of gameplay. That may seem like a lot, but 12 hours in this game is like 12 minutes. So really, you don't have a lot of time. It's only like temporary increases. So you're better off just putting 2 perks into perception or intelligence, whatever you want, since at least you get them permanently. So second rank, you get 3 intelligence, 3 perception, and you also get night vision when sneaking, which I guess it's useful, but I believe there's even food that can give you night vision. So there's that, and you can also just turn up the brightness on your monitor slash TV if you really can't see a damn thing. And you also have a flashlight with your Pip-Boy, so the night vision isn't really the most useful thing in this game at all. And then you get plus 30 extra health. Wow, extra health. It's not like you can just put a perk into endurance or life giver. Yeah, it's not a very good perk. I only see myself getting this perk if I'm trying to maximize my intelligence or perception. Since the increases are, they're pretty good, but I don't know. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you can just use Mentats at any time. Yeah, actually, no, I'm gonna put this even lower. I'm gonna put it. It's not as useless as these two, but it is pretty useless. So if you have Mentats, you can just use them at anytime you want. So yeah, very useless perk. Next, we got Refractor, and every time I see this perk, I feel like I'm at a refractory period. So I'm just gonna put it. Do I want to put it even low? Nah, I gotta put it higher than these two. These two are like the worst perks of all time. This perk, I mean, at least it gives you extra defense, but not very much. Obviously, it gives you 10 energy defense or resistance for every perk. So or every rank. So there's 5 ranks. Each rank gives you 10, which is if it was percentage based ranks, this wouldn't be a bad perk to take, but you're also better off just getting armor, which there are only 4 ranks into armor, and you also get way more resistance if you max out your armor and get ballistic weave. So terrible perk. Never get this perk. Next we got sniper. This is sniper. Um, I actually don't know what this does. Let's have a look. So you have improved control, can hold your breath longer when aiming with scopes. Pretty useful. Scope rifles have a chance of knocking down your target. That's interesting. 25% accuracy to headshots. That's pretty good. So really, if you have like a sniper rifle or just like a scoped rifle, this can be pretty good perk to take you know if you like to snipe enemies. I like to snipe enemies, so I would take this perk if I was a rifle character. Which that's the thing. This only applies to rifles. I don't think you can use it for pistols, but it can do wonders if you have a sniper rifle. So I'll put it higher than those 3. Actually, let me readjust these. I'm gonna put this one little bit higher. Next we got what is this called? Penetrator. So really, this is a self-explanatory perk. You can basically shoot through walls when you use VATS. So wall hacks basically. So this the first rank you're able to shoot through walls, but at a decreased accuracy, and then the final rank you have no decrease in accuracy. So really, this is just a nice perk to take whenever your enemies take cover. You're trying to shoot them in the head, but their head is behind a wall, so you can't shoot through them. But now you can with this perk. So you could also be patient and just wait for them to come out or move closer to them, but yeah, I don't. I'm gonna put it at. Let's see. I'm gonna put it below rooted. It's a good perk. It's a good perk if you're using a rifle or a pistol. If you're using a shotgun, maybe you don't get this perk since you're at a much farther distance. Or if you're a melee weapon, actually, no. Now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should put it a little lower. I'll put it in average. I think that's a good spot for it. And then the last perception perk we have is what is it? I don't know what this is called. Concentrated fire. This is a very good perk. Just because you basically increase your accuracy for each time you attack that same body part. So 10% accuracy, 50% more accuracy, and 20% more damage. That is huge. That's basically like getting one extra rank of rifleman or or gunslinger for free. Pretty good perk, honestly. I would highly suggest going for this perk if you're investing into perception. I'm gonna put this up here. I'm not sure if this also applies to melee weapons. Probably not, but I don't know. I'll have to do some research on that. All right, we are done with perception. We are we are at the endurance perk. So higher the endurance, the more health you gain from leveling up, and the less action points you drain from sprinting. So honestly, you can kind of get away with a low endurance build just because there are a lot of useless endurance perks, and oh boy, like this one for example, toughness, terrible. I don't know if it's better than refractor or worse. I don't know. These two can be interchangeable, but honestly, just get armor. Just like I said for refractor, get armor. It is way better than toughness. Um, lead belly, another useless perk. This one might just be the worst perk in the game, just because you have a lot of rataways. You have a lot of stim. You can find stim packs out in the world very easily. And yes, I am aware that this could be a good perk in survival mode, but again, we're not talking about survival. We're talking about the base game. So obviously, you should never take this perk ever. It's terrible. And same with Life Giver. You can just put points into endurance if you want more health, since it scales better. In fact, I am going to put it a little bit higher than these two, but not by much. It's still terrible. Sure, the last rank could be useful, having to regen your health. That's cool and all, but there's already another perk that basically does the same thing. Or you can just freaking heal yourself to the max health if you need to. Not a good perk. Okay, now finally, onto an arguably good perk. What is it called again? I think it's chem resistant. I'm pretty sure it's chem resistant, right? Yeah, chem resistant. So I take this perk all the time just because I like using chems in this game. They are a lot of fun. They are useful, and they outclass a lot of perks in this game. So I kind of want to put it up here, but I don't know. Do I? I'm gonna put it up here, but at the lowest. I'll put it below these, just because you sometimes don't need chems. You can go play through without them, but I just think chems are fun, in my opinion. Drugs make everything better. Not really. Don't take that seriously. Okay, I should go over what it does. So the first shrink, what it does is that it reduces your chance of getting addiction. So that's pretty nice. Pretty basic. Next we got complete immunity to chem addiction. So this kind of just removes the risk factor of getting addiction, or sorry, of becoming addicted. Yeah, really nothing else to say. I've already made my point. Oh boy, next we got freaking Aqua Boy and Aqua Girl. Um, this is another useless perk. I don't know why you would take this perk when you can just take Rad-X when you're going underwater, or if you're like you won't even have to go underwater pretty much the entire game. Like I don't see the point of having to go underwater. Sure, maybe there's like a shortcut you can take, or maybe if you're going to Far Harbor you may need to go underwater, but like there's just many ways you can counter the you can just, there's many ways to counter it. Um and I believe in the last rank, or how many ranks are there to this perk? Two ranks, okay. So first rank, no longer take radiation damage and can breathe underwater. That may sound cool, but I don't know. I just don't see myself going underwater in this game. I can't think of a time I fully went underwater, because you never need to. I don't think there are any quests where you have to go underwater, so why should you take this perk? And then the second perk, you become undetectable while submerged. Again, I don't see myself having to go underwater just to avoid enemies. It's not useful. Like, just kill them with your guns, or with whatever you have. They're anything. Oh boy. And we're not even done. We still have more useless perks. Frickin' rad resistant again. Ugh, terrible. Do you have plenty of rataways? You have Rad-X's. You have basically the same thing I said for frickin' this perk and this one. Oh, god damn it. I did not mean to right click. You don't need this perk. Terrible. Adamantium Skeleton. Limb damage. All it does is that it reduces, or I guess what it does is that you can't get crippled or something. I don't know. It isn't like getting armor for limbs. Like, like limb damage is basically like the little health bar you see when you're in VATS. You know how the limbs have a little health bar? That's basically their limb damage. So once that goes away, they become crippled. So having this for yourself, I mean, you can just take stim packs and not be crippled anymore. I I don't know. I never take this perk because I don't see myself. I don't know. It's not that much of a hindrance, since you can quickly use a stim pack, or you can also sleep, or I don't know. There's many ways to remedy that. Is what I'm trying to say. Oh boy, we're not even done. Yeah, we still got more useless perks. This one, freaking cannibal. Not only is cannibalism disgusting as hell, but you can now eat. You can eat your enemy's corpse. It is disgusting. So many NPCs hate cannibalism, like your companions. Oh my god. I'm becoming brain dead just looking at these perks. Where do I want to put this? I don't know. Probably all the way down here. Ghoulish. I don't even know what Ghoulish does, but I know it's a useless perk. Let's look at what it does. Sure, you're still human on the outside. Radiation now regenerates your lost health. I don't even know what this means. Like if you have like one radiation, do you regain 1 HP like every minute or every second? Is that what it means? I don't know. Regenerates even more of your lost health. Okay. Regenerates even more lost health. Some Feralghouls will randomly become friendly. Wow. Cool. One of the easiest enemies to kill is now friendly. That is amazing. Oh, what is this last perk? Rat damage will begin to slowly heal, restoring health in the process. Pretty cool, right? But just like I've been saying, there are plenty of rataways to remedy that, so really you don't need this perk either. Why do these perks exist? It's for role playing, obviously. But you just you don't need these perks. You don't need them. Okay, we got one more endurance perk, and that is solar power. So it's arguably a pretty good perk, just because you have. Let's see, let's see what it does. 2 strength and endurance between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. So basically the same thing as night person, except I find strength and endurance to be a little more useful. So really, these two can be interchanged, but I think this one's a little bit more useful just because you can heal radiation damage and you can also regen health just by being under the sunlight. So I know I said that you can use Radaway, you can use freaking stim packs or whatever, but I mean I do find the +2 strength and endurance to be a little more useful, and it's just a little bit better, but obviously not by much. I am gonna put this a little bit higher than this one, but I don't know. I take this perk sometimes, but you don't need this perk at all. Um, but oh well. Oh boy, that is it for the endurance perks. Finally, what a slot.